My fellow Americans, welcome to the first ever Obama Speaks the Truth Q&A session here at the White House. This is the one and only time you will hear our president being honest about things, so send your questions in and watch the show. That being said, let me now introduce our guest of honor, President Obama.
Thank you, George. I'm sorry to hear about your dad. I never knew a fever could land a 300-year-old ex-president on his deathbed. My wife and I have you guys in our thoughts. So how does this little shindig work tonight?
Well, Mr. President, I ask a question that has been sent in by a citizen and you answer it with an honest answer.
Honest answer? The last time I told the truth is when I admitted to Michelle that I drone bombed her parents' house. In-laws are such dicks.
Right. Anyway, the first question comes in from Dan in Utah. Mr. President, what are you going to do with the fiscal cliff?
Good question, Dan. After weeks of agonizing, I have decided that I am going to wrap it up in a blanket, stuff it in the trunk of Speaker Boehner's car, and drive it right off the fucking cliff. That way when election time comes around, you boobs will believe it when I tell you the economy is the Republicans' fault. By the way, Dan, why in God's name would you ever live in Utah? I was in Utah for a campaign stop on a Saturday night, and the only thing with less going for it is Joe Biden's sex life.
Next question comes from Art in Florida. Mr. President, why do you believe in gun-free zones as being the best way to protect our children?
Art, gun-free zones aren't supposed to protect your children. They are supposed to get them shot, so I have a reason to crack down on guns. Jesus, what kind of a fucking donkey would believe a gun-free zone could protect someone? Just out of curiosity, Art, what's the average age limit of the state of Florida? 120. Don't worry, Obamacare will drop that number real quick.
Next question comes from Nancy in Toronto, Canada. Mr. President, what are you doing to improve relations with Canada?
It's good to hear from America's hat. Well, Nancy, in case you've been sleeping under an igloo for the last few years, and it appears you have been, the North American Union is making great strides. Pretty soon there won't be a need for distinction between Canada and the USA. By the way, Nancy, did you ever hear the one about the Canadian who went ice fishing in a hockey rink?
This question just came in from someone named F.U. in Florida. Mr. President, I'm watching this program and you seem like a real dick. What's the deal? Is it just me or are you just an asshole?
All depends on who you ask. Before I drone bombed their house, my in-laws thought I was an asshole too. Still want to ask that question, sir.
This next question is from Ted in Ohio. Mr. President, I just wanted to let you know that I support you 100% and that I don't believe any of these crazy conspiracy theories that run rampant on the internet, like the Federal Reserve and 9/11 and the New World Order.
Ted, you have just given credence to my theory that there is a dumbass in every state. Continue to be a good little sheeple, Ted. Without people like you, this country would be a lot better off.
The last question tonight comes from Lisa in Wisconsin. Mr. President, I voted Democratic in the election and I feel guilty about it. What should I do?
Lisa, your first mistake was in voting, period. I mean, really, what kind of asshole votes in a rigged election? Seriously, you people are the dumbest bunch of sheeple I have ever seen in my life. Every 4 years you run around thinking that your little vote matters. It doesn't. Never has, never will. My only advice to you is to go live with dumbass Ted in Ohio. Maybe you guys could have about 50 kids so that future generations continue making the same dumb mistakes that you fools make.
Well, Mr. President, that about wraps it up. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yes. I just want to say that now that Colorado and Washington have legalized weed, I will be taking the guns that were scheduled to go to the drug cartels in Mexico and giving them to the gangs in Colorado and Washington. Toke up while you can, fuckers. Change is coming.
Well, that does it. Thank you for tuning in, and always remember, we are watching you.